Welcome everybody to another late night stream, and we are doing U-boat again, as you see. And hey, weight loss, yeah, perfect timing. Just 10 minutes to midnight. Nice to have you in again. So I hope you had a relaxed Saturday. Yeah, we are doing U-boat again. That game where we slip into the role of a German submarine commander. Well, our commander is just doing off-watch, relaxing a bit. Every officer has to do that now and then when his fitness bar is low, like this one, Mr. Strauss. He's not far away from needing a rest. Yes, we are still evading. So yesterday we attacked another convoy, or well, maybe better say we sneaked into that convoy and then attacked 1C3, and we did actually sink it. Only point is that right now we still have them up there, and we have to figure out if they're still chasing us or if the convoy is just on its way. Good thing is that we definitely already got confirmed that the guy was going down. Yeah, bad thing about that is that another German submarine, U682, was obviously sunk in parallel. We knew that it was there, and we heard the depth charging of them, and yeah, obviously they didn't make it. We are in the Atlantic. It's April 44, so we are late in the war. We are already 4.5 years into the war, and what I'm doing here is I'm doing a complete playthrough through the war in this game, in this beautiful open world, and sharing every single mission with you, my dear friends. And since a while I'm also uploading this to YouTube, so also warm welcome to you guys on YouTube, watching, following me. And yeah, as I usually say, as a bit of an excuse, I don't have the time for cutting, so I just upload the whole adventures, and yeah, feel free to fast forward through it, find the good pieces, and yeah, always glad to see that some people are interested. But yeah, my favorite thing still is the streaming, this kind of live interaction with you guys. That's just great. And here you see this wonderful implementation graphically that we have a bit of water in the bilge. It's 150 liters. That's not critical, but still it's a bit of water. We had a leak. I'm playing with deep leak mods, which results in the fact that sometimes now and then we can really get random leaks, something like that. In the vanilla game you could just dive until crash depth and then suddenly it's game over, and this deep leaks mod gives it a wonderful reality flavor. Like as soon as you are below 150 or 160 meters, you have an increasing probability of small leaks, like a pipe blowing away or a gasket given away, and this happens again and again. And when you dive deeper and deeper and then successively repair all these leaks, then you will improve the fitness. Here it is called a readiness of the boat, which for the future reduces the probability. So when we first went out with this boat and we go to 200 meters, we would have loads of leaks, and right now we could go to 200 meters with very low probability of anything going wrong because we already ruled out all the fault reports and exchanged them. Yeah, we actually do have another mission. There is this lost submarine, and we have 3 days and 6 hours left to get there. And yeah, maybe it was a little bit lightheaded of mine to first go for this convoy, but I really wanted to have one more merchantman, and by now, let's see, I think we only have 1 torpedo left. So looking back now, this was pretty efficient. So we did a sneak attack on this convoy, and we did sink 3 ships there. Another sneak attack on that convoy, and we did sink 1. And now let's see that we sneakily get away, and then as fast as possible get to this quadrant and hopefully find the lost boat, which headquarters orders us to find. Hey, fly fishing, nice to have you in. Good evening, hope you are having a good weekend, and same for you, Nico. Great to have you in again. Yeah, very relaxed day. Very relaxed. Yeah, the morning, I slept long. Yeah, actually my wife usually works on Saturday morning, so I slept long and then spent the morning for a while with our kids. Then we all went our ways, and I had a little bit of time to do some offline gaming. Last days I dived into Gothic, and I did a bit of Gothic this morning or early afternoon. And afterwards I spent the afternoon with my wife, and evening, watching a movie. Actually, I was watching Die Hard 2 with our son. Yeah. And so here we are. Now the family is gone to bed, and I am here doing a bit of late night streaming. Yeah, fly fishing. What was my deepest depth that I ever went and came back up? I think what I would be safely able to go for, I think it was 230, maybe 240 in a test dive. Yep, and that's great. Great to have you in. Yeah, that's my issue. I have my job, I have my family, and so usually my streaming time only starts pretty late. Exactly. I mean, we have a lot of people, for example, watching from the US, and of course now here it's midnight, so for them it's 6 o'clock, early evening or something. Yeah, but I think this was the deepest, 240 or something in a test dive, where I was able to come back to the surface alive. So, I am on hydrophone checking depth. Let's see, do I dare to already get back to the surface? How far away are these guys? Let me put a marker on the map for each contact. So these are the closest ones. 7 miles. 4 miles. Yeah, come on. We could at least go back. To periscope depth. And can put up the snorkel. Yeah, nice. Looks like we are getting away again. Okay, see this convoy. How beautiful it looks, these. And there is more. What about these guys? They are getting away. They're all military. Are they? So is the military escort leaving the merchant convoy alone? Probably not. Yeah, there is still escorts. Well, maybe it's just by chance that a purely military task force here met this convoy. Or it's ships which are actually out of depth charts and so they return to base. I'm not quite sure how the game mechanics are with regard to that. So that this part of the escort now is out of ammo and returning back home. I think it's not 100% logical, because even those which might have no depth charge left, they might still be of value to chase submarines. However, so please give me the snorkel. And periscope depth, please. Yeah, how fast can we actually go when we are going snorkel? Let's go flank. Yep, that's what we're going to do now, searching for that missing submarine. And when we go with 12 knots and the distance is something like 350 miles, so 10 hours with 12 knots. Would be something like 10 hours. Next 10 hours. And next 10 hours. So we should be there at half the time, actually. And maybe when we are a bit further away from that convoy, I might even get back to the surface. Yeah, we have plenty of fuel at the moment. Problem is that the air quality, yeah, it's not problematic, but when you are using the snorkel, it takes ages to refresh the air through that tiny diameter of the snorkel. I don't know if it makes a difference if we turn on the ventilation. Let's try that, but let's first take out the potassium absorbers. That would be a waste. And so, yep. So now it's only plus 60 per minute, and as soon as the ventilation is on, we should have a largely increased value there. Let's see. It should be smaller than when you are on the surface. With the hatch open. Let's see. Plus 5. Yeah, okay, so you see it's limited. When you're up on the surface and turn on the ventilation, you have a much, much better and larger refreshing rate. It is still increasing, yeah. But it should be significantly smaller than when you are surfaced with an open hatch. I hope and I think that this is kind of consistent. I thought it was a factor of 10 more than. Yeah, now we are using up battery, and when we are going flank speed we are not recharging the battery because all the power of the engines is needed for propulsion and none is left for charging. And let's go for the bilge and turn on the pump as well to finally get the water out. External torpedo storage is empty, so it's in fact we really just have this one single torpedo left. I think we also have one stern torpedo left, yeah. So not much to go for another convoy, but if we might by chance run into one single lone transport, we might still torpedo it successfully. We will see. Yeah, we haven't even reached our patrol area, so all the tonnage that we did was not accounted for this particular patrol. But as we are in the correct, this last stand area stretches over a much larger area, so any ship that we sink in this area counts for the last stand mission goal, but only those within this square, this large square, count for the particular mission. But I could live with not fulfilling the mission if I only have the tonnage scored for the last stand. So we now already by far have reached the 50,000 tons that we need for the first level. I could call a milk cow, but at the moment I don't have any. I don't have any milk cows in the area, so I first would have to call it in. And yeah, I think I would just go back to La Rochelle. Yeah, Nico, this is also what I used to do, but now it was so intriguing because I ran into these two convoys and I was able to, yeah, I was in a good position, so I just couldn't resist. to quote King Schulz from the movie Django Unchained, one of my favorite movie quotes of Christoph Waltz. Yeah, okay. Yep. That's also a good solution, sad boy. By the way, great to have you in again. Gerald, hope you're fine. Hope you are having a good weekend. Yeah, that's right. That was it. Now in this position, let's give it a save. New save for the new stream. W544. Oh my god. So, and a technical problem? The provider could not provide you anymore with internet since then? How terrible. Maybe you should have a word with weight loss. He also had quite some problems with his provider, I think. And yeah, you still have, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yep. Always good to know the reason, but if they don't do anything about it. Now let's do a little bit of yeah. So this is when you give a customer a reason to do market research, he might find better offers. Yep. Okay, 260 degrees. So there is a submarine somewhere there. So what is this guy? Who is this guy? High speed, moving away. Let me do a little bit of cheating like that. That's him. That's the German submarine. Beautiful. I love this. Isn't this great? So the whole open world is so consistent. Good luck, guys. Good luck on for the hunt. So there is two guys on the bridge. Yeah, they are not modeled in this detail. So see, they are going for the convoy. That's beautiful to see. Yeah, on the one hand it looks cool, and on the other hand I can think if it's a decent wooden deck, it's maybe not as slippery as a steel deck, a painted steel deck, and at least on a sailing ship. I remember my uncle, he had a little yacht. It was not very large, but it was made from steel. It had a steel hull, and that was pretty extraordinary for that small-sized yacht. And yeah, he was pretty proud of it. That he didn't just have a plastic hull. But the point is, when you have a steel deck, a painted steel deck, whenever you have something, a shackle or something falling on the deck, you get a little crack in the painting and salt water starts to get in and you get rust. So in principle I could imagine that the wooden deck is a little bit more resistant to these things. Hey Colin, good evening, nice to have you in. Yeah, right, exactly, it's a type 9. So I wasn't aware. I thought they only still had type 7s as NPCs. Yeah, I think there is actually no means in the game to really synchronize the attack, right? It's more like a little bit of a matter of good luck if you attack at the same time. Ah, wow. Wow, even type 2 NPCs. Wasn't aware. I thought that it's always type 7. Nice. Nice, nice. So guys, good luck going for that convoy. We have other business. Let's carry on for a little bit. Being submerged and then sooner or later. Three days and 5 hours. Sooner or later I want to get back to the surface. Why is this guy still so close? That kind of worries me. Who are you? Who are you? That's a military. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, that's bad. Doesn't make any sense, yep. I mean, it's interesting that the boats are programmed that they do that. I thought they would always do torpedo attacks, but if it's finally like that. Oh, yeah, that's one of these words where I kind of, yeah, could embarrass me trying to pronounce it. Is it Kamenacht Cup? Why is this guy going that direction? Might be that he is on our tail. Might I should have put that contact. Maybe he's moving away now. Yeah, I was afraid that he might have detected our snorkel with his radar. Yeah, do you remember that instance when I accidentally sank another German U-boat? I think I did it with a T5, which was then homing in on that other submarine. Yeah, I had to reload then earlier save because the game is pointless when you are once hostile with the Germans.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung. Diese Besetzung. Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle. Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung. Herr Kapitän. Schraubengeräusche. Kleine Gruppe. Peilung 125 Grad. Herr Kapitän.
Yeah, maybe it would be safe now to get back to the surface. So did you put yourself right onto the seabed? Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, that's risky. But I think the enemy NPCs are not pretty well programmed in these situations because what I did observe several times when I put myself onto the seabed at something like 40 meters, they went across me, dropped a line of depth charges, and the depth charge sank down and were just lying on the seabed. And even one of them coming to a stop on my aft deck of the submarine. So there was one depth charge lying on my deck down there. And they didn't blow up. So that's pretty stupid when the escort knows that it's only 40 meters. It's pretty stupid. Yeah, well, I mean, if the enemies know that the seabed is at 40 meters, it's stupid to program the depth charge to detonate at 60 meters or something. Yeah, well, I mean, they have maps and they definitely have an echo sounder, wouldn't they? No, they didn't. They didn't explode. Even if later I started to move again, they just didn't explode. Yeah, well, yeah. In a way, weight loss, you're right. It might still be in the range of the uncertainty of what they know and what they know not. Yeah.
Schraubengeräusch. Peilung 120 Grad.
But still, I think if it's fairly realistic, it should be relatively risky to put yourself in such shallow waters. I mean, if you stay undetected, that's fine. But if they detect you, you are in dire straits, or you should be. So what's the distance now? 18 miles. Yes. Oh. Yeah, that's cool if they started to sink afterwards and explode then. Showing how consistent the game is. Yeah, if you put it into that light. 18 miles, do you think I could go to the surface when that enemy escort is 18 miles away, or would they still detect me on 18 miles with their radar? Let's give it a save. Better safe than sorry. And let's get to the surface.
Anblasen. Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter. Funklesssignale geortet. Peilung 125. Herr Kaloy.
Okay, radio signal there, but if we detect them, that doesn't necessarily mean that they detect us. They are sending a very strong signal, which we could detect on large range. But on the other hand, only a very small part of this powerful signal is reflected from us. So the intensity of the signal that comes back to the sender, to the enemy, is much, much smaller than the intensity that arrives at our boat. Yeah, well, the secondary detonator, yep. Well, could be for reasons of cost. All that was just cost. Additional money, and, well, each additional detonator might also kind of increase the problem of a failure. I don't know. Now remove the snorkel. We still have the gyro compass turned off. We still have the dive planes to manual because we wanted to go as silent as possible. So here we are. And Mr. Schultz, our bosun, should do a little bit of work at the navigation table to improve improve here this navigation precision rating. Air quality is back to full. Oh, very good. Somebody did turn off the ventilation. And, well, stop silent running. Let's just go flank. And now let's go for that rescue mission. Or, well, actually, we have to find the boat and then we will see if they need being rescued. Yeah, that pretty much looks like they're not going after me. Yeah, these old bombs. Yeah. Then the news. Talk about Fliegerbomben. Yeah, I think don't quite remember. Probably I also had that, but to be honest, it's months and months, if not in-game years ago, that I last had one of these, yeah, storyline-like incidents.
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
Let's give it a save. So now it's 9 o'clock. Let's see if we are here in 10 hours, roughly. Hey, Gerald. Oh, yeah.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung. Bestätige. Funkmesssignale geortet. Peilung 10 Grad.
Oh, there is a... Yeah, that's not an airplane. That's a convoy. I really don't need that. Please. Time of the day. 2 o'clock. Let's give it a save. They are very close. Let's mark them on the map. Yeah, convoy. I really am not in the shape to go for another convoy. Okay, it was 9 o'clock in the evening. Can we see something? At must be something like 15 degrees. No smoke visible.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen. Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
So this is pretty imprecise what I'm doing here, but still. Let's just hope that it's not a military task force with aircraft carriers.
Ja? Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloi?
Yeah, that's what I heard, that running them flank speed all the time would damage them, but well, only thing that I know is that they start to smoke, but not that they actually get any damages. I think for when they start to smoke, you can apply this oil lubricant. But I've seen carriers, but I've never sunk one. Only once actually in all these years that I played the game, only once I engaged a battleship in the open water and sank it. Yeah, and of course several times this battleship in Scapa Flow, but I would say that doesn't quite count.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen. Herr Kaloi? Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen. Patrouillengebiet erreicht.
Funkmesssignale geortet. Peilung 100 Grad.
I'm not gonna send this message now. That would just make them aware of our presence even the more.
Hier etwas Unterstützung.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung. Wird erledigt, Herr Kaloi. Ja. Navigation besetzen. Diesel besetzen.
Befehle, Herr Kaloin.
Okay, I think we are getting around them. That's fine. Now we could go straight on that course again.
Koordinaten setzen. Bestätige.
And yeah, we should be there in 10 hours. And we still have 2 days and 16 hours. Of course, we also might need some time for a search pattern there to finally find the guys. Yeah, much faster, because these figures here were referring to a speed of 12 knots. But now I'm doing something like 16 to 18 knots. Time. It's morning, so that's comfortable.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
So here we are. Now let's scan along the area.
Koordinaten setzen. Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Save the game. Now see if we find him. Yeah, exactly. This is definitely not the aim. So our mission is definitely not to sink warships. Yeah. Exactly, Colin. And I usually don't go for the men of war. I usually only use my torpedoes for trade ships, exactly. $12.
Kurs setzen.
Okay. There we have them. Very good. Now let's give it save again and see what they are up to.
U-Boot. Direkt voraus.
Herr Kaloin, dies scheint das vermisste U-Boot zu sein, das wir finden sollten.
Funkraum besetzen.
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
There they are. Yep. And it's not so much. Pretty few RP, pretty few money that you get. So it's really not worth the while to sink warships in the game. Which is kind of realistic, I think. As you said, Colin, that was not the mission of the submarines.
Halbe Fahrt voraus. Fahrt besetzt. Kleine Fahrt voraus. Halbe Fahrt voraus.
So.
Kurs setzen.
Anybody on the conning tower? Obviously not.
Alle Maschinen stopp.
So let's send an away team and investigate. So let's send Mr. Grade, Mr. Arlos, and Mr. Schulz, the bosun. And 7 sailors. So go there. Okay, there is the little Zodiac going. Oh yeah, another Type 9. Yep. Another Type 9. Your team cautiously boarded the submarine, reporting that they cannot hear any sounds from inside the ship. Investigate. So that takes a little while. Here we see the status bar of the 3 officers who do the investigation over there. Yeah, the guys among us who have a bit of experience in the game already know what this is gonna be. I'm always a bit worried that while I have my boarding team away, that there might turn up an air patrol. But I've never had that unlucky coincidence up to now. Yeah, we can do speed it a little bit up. There we are. Okay, Siegfried Eilers went to the conning tower and carefully opened the hatch, and then quickly ran to the barriers on the conning tower, clearly choking. He reported that inside are the corpses of sailors with dried blood flowing out of their eyes and lips. He has no doubt the ship was damaged by a mine, which led to the flooding of the batteries of the boat, which in turn released chlorine gas, resulting in the death of the entire crew. So let's scuttle the boat without using explosives. There we are. Target is sinking pretty fast. And the away team is getting back. Hey Stadler, nice to have you in again. How was your day? Always a hand's breadth of water under the keel. Yeah, that's the German saying. Not quite sure whether it translates to English, but nevertheless. pretty alright, that one. Yeah, nice to have you in, by the way. How is your patrol going? I'm sure that you have been playing today, or maybe are playing in parallel. Okay, so what else could we do then? Continue our patrol. Going halbe Fahrt. And while being here, why not doing a hydrophone check right away?
Tauchen auf 50 Meter. Auf E-Motoren wechseln.
Meter. 45 Meter.
Okay, yes, these lone fighters, they are always welcome prey. Although if you only have lonesome fighters like I experienced it for several months in the Mediterranean, then things become a little bit boring.
Schraubengeräusch. Kriegsschiff. Peilung 130 Grad.
Meter.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
Oh, a ship propeller. Come on. High speed closing in. Interesting. Not too far away.
Meter.
Only 10 miles. So this guy should be moving with, well, it's said to be high speed from the hydrophone, so I would say it's going something like 10 knots maybe. Yeah, it will. This is this realistic touch about the game that sometimes it really challenges our patience when you sail for days and days and just any hydrophone check stays unanswered.
Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloy, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten
We
setzen.
might even see their smoke like that. 10 miles. That's pretty close. And now it is 1:20.
Äußerste Kraft voraus.
Maybe we should go just for 15 minutes. It might be a warship, yeah, you're right. It might be a warship or a fast-moving transport. So that was 5 minutes. Oh, I hate this thingy. This radar thingy is always in the way if you want to spot right ahead. Let's go for another 5 minutes. If they were going 10 miles in 15 minutes, they should go 2.5. So after 15 minutes, they should be somewhere there. If that were the right course, of course. A heavy cruiser, yeah, okay.
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
By now we should see something. Okay, but yeah, I am doing assumptions. I don't know which direction the guy is moving towards. Now let's give it another hydrophone check to find that out.
Tauchen auf 50 Meter.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloy? Aktuelle Tiefe 5
Auf
Meter.
E-Motoren wechseln.
There we go. But I'm a bit surprised that I don't have eyes on the guy yet.
Schraubengeräusch. Kriegsschiff. Peilung 65 Grad.
Okay, there he is. And now the hydrophone tells us that it's a man of war. Wow, that guy is really moving fast. So I was going 15 minutes, so a quarter of an hour, so 7. He's going with 25 to 30 miles per hour. Oh wow, great.
50 Meter.
So what do you think? How many torpedoes do you need to sink such a guy? Do you need 4 or is 2 sufficient? It depends a bit, right? That guy is really moving fast.
Jawohl.
Yeah, it should be rated very high speed.
50 Meter.
Yeah, nice. Depends where you hit him, yeah.
50 Meter.
I'm not quite sure what the mechanics of these torpedo belts are that they have around their warships. I mean, if you have a magnetic pistol, you might just go underneath, and if you let it explode under the keel, that should still be working fine, even for a large man of war, right? So this guy is moving with an incredible speed, and there is really no point in going after that guy.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen. Tauchen auf.
So I don't want to go to the surface. We are so close to the guy now. He might really get us onto his radar if he has one.
Aktuelle Tiefe 45 Meter.
Herr Kaloin,
25 Meter.
Schraubengeräusch, Kriegsschiff, Peilung 200 Grad.
Yeah, still moving away.
Tauchen auf 15 Meter. Aktuelle Tiefe 20 Meter. Halbe Fahrt voraus.
Let's give it periscope depth.
Auf Seerohrtiefe.
And then we are gonna run out the snorkel.
15 Meter.
Igniting a magazine, yeah.
Herr Kaloy, wir sind auf Seerohrtiefe. Boot für Rundblick eingesteuert.
Yeah, these details of the damage models, they are quite nicely done. They feel, to me, they feel pretty good, the damage models of the enemy ships.
Schraubengeräusch, Kriegsschiff, Peilung 205 Grad.
And give me the snorkel, please. Yeah, by the way, I see there is quite some people in the stream. Thanks for joining. It's great to have you in. Pretty much enjoy that. So don't worry, you're completely anonymous, but still I would like to advertise a bit for participating in the chat. I'm always curious who you are. Well, not in detail, I mean, just kind of what type of player you are. Do you know the game by heart, or are you new? Want to learn something about the game? Which continent are you from? Yeah. But yeah, don't worry, it's perfectly fine if you just lurk silently. Just seeing some people watching is a nice reward, actually. And of course, a few follows are always a nice reward just as well. But don't feel pushed. Nice, just nice to have you in the stream. No, I'm not gonna attack that guy. I'm not gonna attack. I wouldn't. He was moving with something like 25, at least 25 knots. So I wouldn't have stood a chance to actually catch up with him. And if you consider that I only have one fore torpedo and one stern torpedo left, hey Startler, I don't think that we have to pronounce that. Of course, same for me. I mean, we are fascinated by the game just because of the technology back then. That's fascinating what they did with this hybrid engine, diesel, electric, and all that stuff. That's the one hand, the technology is fascinating, and the human challenge. And well, I think it must have been almost unbearable, and it's really hard to, or almost not to feel how it has been in the submarine, all that horror that we can't share here, but still this kind of fascinates us. And so that I think is the fascination of submarine simulations, Second World War. And of course, we don't want to kind of change history or something. That's what I always say. Looking back, I'm pretty happy that you guys, you allies, actually took the effort to rid us of that madman with the mustache. And I'm very thankful for that. That saved our future here on the continent, particularly in Germany. And so this is what I also like about this game, because this game is not about changing history or changing the end of the war, the outcome of the war or something. The outcome of the war is clear. You are just a small wheel and we do our adventures. It's about being skilled. But however skilled we are not going to change the outcome of the war in this game. Yes, exactly. Yeah, well, and gameplay wise, U-boat submarine simulations have a very long tradition, reaching back to the Commodore 64 era. In the mid-80s, I would guess it was. Silent Service was the name of the game, if I remember right, that we had back then. Well, actually, not me, but I didn't have a computer back then, but my cousin had. He had a C64, Commodore 64, and now and then I went to his place and we played their Silent Service or Pirates. There was this very early version of this beautiful Pirates, maybe one of the first open world games ever. Pretty close to that other game that I am streaming, have been streaming in the last days, Caribbean Legend. So, guys, what do you think? Could we get back to the surface? Or should we just stay put out here? The guy's just moving away with tremendous speed in straight line. And by now, what's the distance between him and us? 15 miles. Yeah, come on, let's go on. And let's get to the surface.
Anblasen. Aktuelle Tiefe 10 Meter.
Yeah, okay. To be honest, I never heard of that one, but I remember that you told us that already. We had that before, and I remember that term Sinclair spectrum. You mentioned it, but I don't really remember back then. I remember there was an Atari or a Schneider was computers that big brothers of friends had. Now let's get the snorkel down. Let's carry on. Oh well, no. That was an encounter, so let's give it a save. Excuse me. So. Did I save that properly? Just wasn't sure if I clicked correctly. Yep, very good. Yeah, at one point in the war, the snorkel becomes pretty important when there's more and more air patrol around, and the range of the enemy ship-mounted as well as airplane-mounted radar increases. Pretty important at that point to have a snorkel. So Mr. Schultz, our bosun, he should do a little bit of navigation, and on we go. Here we are. Let's do another hydrophone check.
Unterstützung.
Tauchen auf 50 Meter.
Yep, still without anti-radar coating. Although I still think, how could they actually spot a snorkel with the radar? I think spotting the snorkel must have been pretty difficult, like 500 meters or a kilometer or something. I don't know, but or not several miles. The cross section of the snorkel is so small. if you have anti-radar coating or not. It should be pretty hard to detect it. It will, yep, it will, and I have my snorkel is anti-radar coated, but still. I mean, even maybe you could get even closer if you do a night attack submerged with snorkel. They really would not spot your snorkel on 500 meters, but the radar maybe would. So, any contacts?
Bombgeräusche. Große Gruppe. Peilung
Wow.
10 Grad.
So we get some more convoy action. Come on.
Aktuelle Tiefe 50 Meter.
Pretty large group. There it is. And yeah, large convoy standard speed would be something like 8 knots.
55 Meter.
So let's see, we're gonna get a second data point and then we know what their course is and what their speed is. That's my good old trick. When I get a contact, I get back to the surface, go for 1 hour and dive again. And after 1 hour, getting the second position data point means that the travel distance then in miles is the speed, miles per hour. This and that miles within 1 hour. It's knots.
Aktuelle Tiefe 55 Meter.
Yeah. If I haven't mentioned it yet, I'm playing on almost maximum difficulty level, something like 97%. And one of the difficulty features that I have active is that we don't get the enemies marked on the map, but I have to do all that enemy tracking manually, which I quite love. Yep. Yeah, that's right. Stadler, yeah. In what year are you? I think you mentioned it yesterday, but to be honest, I didn't keep it in mind. What's your month and year right now? Let's do a little bit of time acceleration. Yeah, this standard workflow for the crew to do the hydrophone check. They let the boat be down there, do the check for 5 minutes, and then, like you see here, they bring the boat back to the surface. Here you see,
35 Meter.
and here the compressed air being pushed into the ballast tanks, pushing the water out. Yeah, and when you choose hydrophone check, all that workflow is done automatically, which is pretty nice, which saves you all the micromanagement that you would need to order the boat to 50 meters,
Sind aufgetaucht.
stop the engines, wait for 5 minutes listening, start the engines, get back to the surface. All this is done in a standard workflow, which is pretty realistic. So as a captain, you would not have to go into all these details. You would have a watch officer who would carry out all that maneuver. So time 7 o'clock. Visibility, I think, is pretty bad. Good weather. is expected. I don't know. At the moment, it looks pretty foggy. Ah, okay, August 40, yes.
Äußerste Kraft voraus.
So it was 10 past 7. So we are gonna move with flank speed till 10 past 8, which should bring us roughly here something like 17 miles, 16 miles, like that. Maybe we should better just go for half an hour and get some intermediate data point. Yeah, I think this is what I'm gonna do. Here we are, and let's get another data point. Let's do another hydrophone check. Yeah, La Rochelle is comfortable to reach the Atlantic. It's always... Yeah, yesterday you said that you had the transfer from, I think it was Wilhelmshaven, wasn't it, to La Rochelle. And that's pretty comfortable. It was always a bit ugly to reach the Atlantic hunting grounds from Wilhelmshaven, I remember.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter. Motoren wechseln.
No, hydrophone check. Hydrophone check again. And there we go down. By the way, we do have a bit of water in the bilge, obviously. Wow, yeah. So when we're back on the surface, it's worthwhile to let the pump run for a little while.
Schraubengeräusche. Große Gruppe. Peilung 5 Grad.
Aktuelle Tiefe 45 Meter.
Only 5 degrees, that means that they are moving pretty straight towards us. But not too fast. Half an hour
55 Meter.
did bring them there. Okay, if this is their course, well, that looks slow. In half an hour, just 2 miles. Can't quite believe that they are going that slow.
50 Meter.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
So that would mean in 1 hour they would only do 4 miles. And it's convoy. Usually I would say now that this is a fisherman, but I don't think that we meet fishermen so far out here in the Atlantic. And it wouldn't be a convoy. Yep, the heavy cruiser, yes. Let's go for another half an hour and see where they are. Oh, we're still diving. Yeah, let's accelerate time. 5 minutes. Five minutes of hydrophone check.
Anblasen.
And there we get back to the surface.
45 Meter. 25 Meter. Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloy, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Another half an hour. Let's do the next hydrophone check. I just
50
trust
Meter.
that check that I did here. I just can't imagine that they are moving only with 4 knots. I think the slowest convoy that I ever ran into was 6 knots. So, guys.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter. Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
Auf E-Motoren wechseln.
Ah, yes, I forgot to turn on the pump.
Meter.
The German cross, is this what is called Eisernes Kreuz in German?
45 Meter.
Meter.
So, where is the contact, please?
55 Meter.
Schraubengeräusche. Große Gruppe. Peilung
Right, there they
310
are.
Grad. Aktuelle Tiefe 50 Meter.
Okay. Now they progressed much further.
Meter.
Ja?
Four miles. In half an hour? Okay, that looks more realistic that they are going something like 8 miles. Finishing the hydrophone check. 5 minutes.
Anblasen.
30 Meter.
And let's give it a save. We only have one fore torpedo and one stern torpedo left, so it's not too reasonable actually to start an attack like that. But still, let's see what we can do.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloy, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Yeah, it's nighttime. It's gonna be a nighttime attack. And I still have that gut feeling that it's pretty foggy. What does this symbol here mean? Does it mean that we do have fog and that here means that it's gonna become better? Yeah, I never quite understood and never was quite happy with this new feature that we have here about the weather. If you ask me, it doesn't make sense. Or maybe it's me because I never quite understood it.
Torpedorohr
How could we detect propellers while we are on the surface?
Kleine Fahrt, voraus.
Torpedorohr 4 gewartet.
Alarm. Konvoi in
Als
Sicht.
eingespielte
Heilung.
Mannschaft werden wir dem Feind
280
zeigen,
Grad.
wozu ein U-Boot in der Lage ist.
Tauchen auf 50 Meter.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter.
Auf E-Motoren wechseln. Konvoi in Sicht. Peilung 300 Grad.
Okay, so I guess the German cross is not the Eiserne Kreuz, right?
25 Meter.
Guys, you can step away from
Alarm beenden.
battle station for now.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
Alright.
40 Meter.
Large convoy. Let's mark all these contacts that we get. Is this correct?
Aktuelle Tiefe 50 Meter. Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle. Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
55 Meter.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloi?
Meter. Halbe Fahrt voraus.
Hey, I have no idea about the names in English, so I understand you that the Knight's Cross is the Eiserne Kreuz.
55 Meter.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloi?
Come on, let's get to 20 meters for now.
Tauchen auf.
So at that point, I want to have one of my technicians to take care of the depth steers. So he will advise now the crew hands at the depth steers to take particular care in keeping the depth and not broaching the surface.
Meter.
Yeah, no, not right now. Actually, I'm not that much interested in the medals because, yeah, they don't give you any advance in the game. I was just wondering which of these terms refers to the German Eiserne Kreuz. Because by chance I knew that this was actually the medal that my grandfather won once in the war for some particular action. So you still didn't tell me what the English term for the German Eiserne Kreuz was. That was actually the question only that I had. So, but maybe it's just Iron Cross. I don't know, or it might be the Knight's Cross. That sounded a bit like in your elaborations up there. That maybe the Knight's Cross is the Eiserne Kreuz, but yeah, as I said, I think these medals, they are, well, it's kind of a nice, nice to see that you progress in that one. But the most important thing is about the leveling. But yes, I also still like to take a look now and then on the progress for the medals, yeah. Okay, all right. I just checked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT says that Eisernes Kreuz was just Iron Cross in English. Yeah, Stadler, no problem, no problem. It's in principle, it's my lack of knowledge actually on these systematics. of these medals. Now let's follow the targets.
Herr Kapitän? Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle. Ja?
Yeah, okay, so my guess is that these guys here, that they are transports, and this one here with a slightly different course might be an escort. So is he going on a course like that? Or like that? Yeah, there is a bit of a spread, uncertainty actually. Ah, okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, so yeah, so my grandfather got one of the lowest medals then. I couldn't even say if it was first class or second or what. Probably just an ordinary first class Iron Cross. Yes, yeah, something like that. Yeah, my grandfather, he was actually a sergeant in a heavy machine gun company. And when they went to Russia on the march eastwards, he got separated from the rest of his company with a bunch of people. So they crossed the river with the company in different zodiacs, rafts, and well, he went on a sandbank, and so he lost contact to the rest of the guys. They didn't wait for him, and so he was with part of that company in the boat, and so he went on and just went east and just randomly at one point hit the front, and the officer there must have been pretty pissed off for him turning up there and told him that he would court-martial him for getting away from his part of the troop unnoticed. And well, then over the night there was an attack, and just by chance the guys of my grandfather were at the right spot along the front to defend it with their heavy machine guns. And well, in the next morning, that same guy who wanted to court-martial my grandfather awarded him with the Iron Cross. Yeah, one of the very few stories of the war that my grandfather told. He was not a big war storyteller, but, well, I was in quite good connection to him. And yeah, we spent a lot of time together. And so now and then he let out some stories. Yeah, right, I'm a bit fascinated by such stories. Well, sometime later he stepped on a mine and lost his lower leg. But, well, that actually got him out of that shit. He luckily survived that and was sent to the Hobbit Hospital, and that was the end of the war for him, at least actively participating in the war. So he lost a limb, but he didn't lose his life. But yeah, well, on the other hand, it must have been pretty hard for him because he was quite a sporty guy. He was doing before the war, he was pretty good in, how do you call it, decathlon.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
So what would be our distance? 1, 2, we could go a little bit faster
Langsame Fahrt
to get
voraus.
into a better firing position, I think. Yes, it is, it is. Yeah, it wasn't that my grandfather was particularly proud. I think he only told that story once or twice, all the time that I knew him. Yeah, war is a bit of a weird business, actually. I mean, this kind of people risking their life and then they get little pieces of metal for that, which they can clip to their uniform. But, well, I mean, I think one has to respect that. Okay, yeah.
Herr Kapitän?
That one.
Ja?
Then down here. My guess is that this one is also an escort. Flanking the convoy, something like that.
Herr Kapitän?
This is probably one of these lines of transports going on a straight course.
Ja? Ja?
Same for this one. I think this is the one I would like to go for.
Herr Kapitän? Kapitän?
Let's forget about these. Gerald, to be honest, I don't know. I don't know. Actually, if I try to remember back when I did my military service in Germany, I think we never learned anything about medals. Don't remember anything. But on the other hand, I can't believe that they don't do that anymore in the German army. I mean, I don't know, maybe somebody once said this is too much hero glorification stuff and so we won't do it anymore, but I don't know. Can't quite believe that there are no medals anymore in the German army, but I have any idea. No, didn't learn anything about that. Yeah, it was still Cold War era. Yeah, yeah. It was still Cold War era. Yeah, we had military service in Germany till I think end of the 90s. We still had military service, maybe even in the early 2000s. Don't quite remember when it was abolished. Well, it was not Cold War era anymore. It was. I'm not that old. I actually did my military service in the year of 92, 93. By that you can guess my age. This is what I always want to avoid. To put the balls on the table about my age. But back then that was after the Cold War. That was after the wall went down. But yeah, we still had the service back then. Okay, you have that. I didn't have that in mind when it actually ended officially. It was 2011, yeah? Yeah, Stadler, no. Definitely not. So this is the guy I would like to go for. Problem is, if I look at these contacts, my gut feeling is that this guy here is an escort. And this guy here is, I don't know. Why do I think so? We will see. Sooner or later I will have to push up my periscope. I just don't do it yet because I don't want to be spotted. Okay. I was in my hometown, in Western Germany, close to Düsseldorf. I don't know if you know Düsseldorf. Cologne. Maybe Cologne is a bit better known. So, my hometown is somewhere between Düsseldorf and Cologne. And that's where I was back then. When the Berlin Wall fell, yeah. Yeah, interesting. Quite amazing. That was really some milestone in history. Just a pity that it looks like the wheel has been turned back in the last years.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
There is a guy closing in on us. Wow. This one.
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
Herr Kaloy?
Okay, we might be in a nice firing position now. Point only is, what's their speed, by the way? 8 knots. So this was from here to there. So I think maximum 8 knots, 6 to 8 knots, something like that. But it will be a pretty much of a guesswork attack again. But allow me to... we still have too much water in the bilge because I mean 90 liters, it's not that bad, but just forgot to turn on the pump before we went in. But now allow me to be AFK just for 1 minute. Alright, I just got me a sip of wine and some Fladenbrot, where I really don't know how to translate that to English. No. Fly fish in, yeah. Yeah, don't drink and drive. Don't drink and command a submarine. Cheers, by the way.
Auf Seerohr.
Now, guys, bring us to periscope depth finally.
Kleine
And
Pause
let's
voraus.
reduce speed. And
Aktuelle Tiefe.
go for silent running.
Herr Kaloin, wir sind auf Seerohrtiefe. Boot für Rundblick eingeschaltet.
And turn off the gyro to reduce any noise. I think it's just too dark. It's just too dark. Yeah, it is foggy. It's terrible visibility. Come on, we don't see anything. Just fog. Yeah, all these terms for the different generations. Yeah, no chance to see anything in this kind of soup. Yeah, ramming Ireland twice, yep. And so we are already pinged by now and still don't see a shit. There is a guy closing in. More guys closing in.
Herr Kaloy.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in trouble.
Zerstörer. 350 Grad.
Okay, good to know.
Tanker. 310 Grad.
Do we see something? There is something approaching. That's a warship. Oh, look how bad the visibility is. This guy. This guy, who are you? It's a destroyer, right?
Alle Maschinen Stopp.
Anything else? Yeah, this foggy situation, it's beautifully done graphically. Of course. It's big trouble now. We got just one single ping. What's the angle? Something like 50 degrees. Django Unchained. Yep. That's a very good movie. I love it. That's where my earlier quote came from. I couldn't resist in this scene when King Schultz has to shake hands with that Brad Pitt playing the asshole. So, Colin, any guess? Could you tell me what kind of ship this is actually? I would say it's this one. Tribal class. But no. I think it's a tribal class. So, draught 3.5. Speed, well, probably something like 7 knots.
Schussunterlagen aktualisieren.
And the angle on bow,
Geschwindigkeit 7 Knoten.
I would say it's something like 80 degrees by now. And the distance. In this visibility it's so hard to determine the distance like that. Would it be
Schussunterlagen aktualisieren.
close? Very close.
Zum Ziel 7 Meter. Lage 8 6 rechts.
3.5 is the draught. Of course, it's complete nonsense to shoot at that military, at that warship. But now that I have him so nicely in front of me, I couldn't resist. Could you see the silhouette of that one? You couldn't see it in the stream. So come on, let's give it a torpedo.
Bewässern.
What was it? 3.5, right? Yeah.
Navigation besetzen. Los.
Bit of a snapshot from the hip.
20 Sekunden. Torpedo einschlagen. 30 Sekunden.
Yeah, I could have put it a little bit deeper, yep. But I wanted to play safe, that it does not undershoot the hull. I usually do something like 50 centimeters.
10 Sekunden bis Einschlag.
Alright, serious damage. Yeah, I'm always a bit afraid. I had bad experience with letting the magnetic pistol torpedoes go too deep. And that woke him up, yeah, right. And so what you sometimes have, particularly for smaller ships, you have the torpedo coming in, and then a wave lifts the hull up, and the torpedo goes underneath. It's simulated this detailed, and this is why I'm always kind of hesitating to go too deep with the magnetic torpedoes. Yeah, that was not too bad, right? I mean, particularly if you consider that it was kind of, yeah, a bit like from the hip. How do they look like? They're... Oh, come on, they are not in view anymore. Yes. So, just after I fired my torpedo, that ship vanished in the fog again. Must be somewhere there. Ah, it's still there. It's still there. But yeah, this hit, taking them by surprise, I think it should sink them. A shot in the dark, yep. So that was my last bow torpedo. I have one stern torpedo left. Okay, is somebody firing flares? But not him, obviously. Or maybe the flares don't work because of the fog.
Zerstörer, 325 Grad.
Do I see something there? Some shape. Some shape in the fog. I think I do see something. And I think this is a freighter. Let's for now assume that it is a C3.
Kurs setzen. Langsame Fahrt voraus. Langsame Fahrt voraus.
Let's see if we can get our stern torpedo bare. Ah, you mean the situation that two enemy ships collide and sink afterwards? I've never seen that. Or them doing friendly fire? I don't know. But it could be. I mean, if you were there to report it, might be that you would get accounted for the tonnage. Well, I mean, if we're talking about warships, there is no tonnage anyway. So hard to spot in the fog. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's not a C3. Maybe it's a Liberty. Yep. I think it's a Liberty. And what did I say? Is it moving with 10 knots? With 7 knots? And the angle on bow right now would be more or less 90 degrees, I think.
Halbe Fahrt voraus.
By the way, what's the maintenance status of the stern torpedo? Probably bad. Ah, well, I won't maintain it now. Let's just give it a quick firing. And what would be the distance of that one? Ah, come on. We can't tell. Drought 7.2, so give it 7.5.
Rohr 5 bewässern.
And now we are losing eyes.
Korvette 135 Grad.
Come on.
Schussunterlagen aktualisieren. Winkel 9,6 rechts. Entfernung 9,3. 6 Meter.
Wir wurden von Esting geortet.
Mr. Schultz, please.
Die Besatzung evakuiert das Schiff.
Very good.
Aktualisieren. Gegnerlage 109 Bug rechts. Los.
That was completely one from the hip. Let's dive.
Tauchen auf 200 Meter.
Aktuelle Tiefe 10 Meter.
Kleine Fahrt voraus.
So guys, alarm enabled.
40 Sekunden bis Torpedoeinschlag. 50 Meter. Ja. 30 Sekunden. 20 Sekunden.
70 Meter.
10 Sekunden bis Einschlag.
90 Meter.
Fehlschuss.
5 yes. Yeah, the names of the ships are a bit repetitive. But by the way, Gerald, I think that I had it in few occasions, but several times,
25 Meter.
that another German submarine fired a torpedo and sank a ship, and I got the credits for it. Okay, Startler, it was a pleasure to have you. So, I think I'm gonna do a stream tomorrow as well. Would be great to have you in. So, see you and have a good night then.
Schraubengeräusche. Direkt.
Aktuelle Tiefe 160 Meter.
Sehr nah.
Depth charts, okay.
Kommandant, wir wurden von Estik geortet.
Flank speed.
Meter.
Yeah, bye bye, Stadler. There is one ship going hard on us. Shall we give it a save? I should have saved earlier. Not in this critical situation. W547.
Aktuelle Tiefe 135 Meter.
Okay, these depth charts are missing us.
Alle Maschinen stoppen. Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Ja, Kommandant, ich kümmere mich darum.
Okay, we don't need Mr. Arlos doing.
Herr Kaloin. Meter.
Yeah, as soon as you hear the hedgehogs being fired, you should go flank speed and do 90 degrees change of course. And you should be as deep as possible, because the deeper you are, the longer it takes them for sinking down onto you. And the more time you have to get away.
Korvette, 355 Grad.
And you don't get them reported. Your crew doesn't report you when they hear hedgehogs being fired. You really have to be alert by yourself and listen to carefully hear them to be fired. I thought we sank them.
200 Meter.
Problem is, when you go to the map, you might not hear the hedgehogs because their sound is pretty low.
205 Meter.
And 20 meters of water, yes. Yeah, Gerald. Yeah. Yeah, fingers crossed. Yes, this is what I usually did, take the long road around Scotland, yeah. Yeah, yep. That's the point, Gerald, yeah. Air quality just below 90%. Discipline 99% is pretty alright. It took me a while until I really was able to hear and recognize that sound of hedgehogs being fired. Next time I have one of these ships passing right above our heads, I'm gonna turn on the pump as well. Yeah, now we are lucky that we did a lot of test dives to these depths, so that we already ruled out a lot of possible damages. Yeah, okay, so we sank that destroyer, although we don't, it looks like we didn't yet get accounted for the kill. And yeah, the tonnage doesn't count anyway. Yeah, that was quite some extensive patrol that we had, and one can say that it was pretty successful. We are even already half through, like weight loss, like you said, we are already half through the second level of this campaign, sub-campaign here. And still, it's a pity that we probably, yeah, pretty sure we are not going to be able to sink these 7,000 tons in the square, because we just don't have any torpedoes left. I'm so glad that there is this deep leaks mod. That's so great, making these dives much more realistic. So right now I still have a certain low, but still a certain probability that some of the pipes or the valves or the gaskets give way and create a leak, which creates noise and water coming in. But as I said, I ruled out a lot of weak points already. So at 200 meters, it's pretty stable. Yeah, that loud noise, that was just a flare. The game actually doesn't heat wear, so if you change parts that break, the reliability of the boat becomes better and better. But what is not included in the game, that you have wear, like when you dive and dive again and get back to the surface and dive again, that your systems wear and get less reliable. And when you have depth charts exploding close to the boat, it might also take some, I don't know, micro damages or what, which later might punish you. This is also not in the game. Do you guys remember that Titan dive boat with this guy who brought tourists to the Titanic wreck at 3,000 meters depth? And that big accident, it's already something like 3 years ago, is it? Or maybe 4. Anybody remembers that accident? Yeah, that guy, if he wouldn't have died down there with his guests, he should have gone straight to jail. Because what he did, that was really hazardous from an engineering point of view. Of course, afterwards it's always easy to smart ass and tell people that you would have known from the start, but right here, it's like, with a little bit of technical insight, you would have known from the start that this could not go well. He was having a submarine which was made of carbon, how do you call that? Like you have these layers of carbon. Carbon threads. Now I'm really missing the proper vocabulary. Woven carbon threads, and well, they are in a matrix of resin. And that his boat was made of, and yeah, you get micro cracks. I mean, if you have a metal hull from Titan or something right above us,
Lenzpumpe einschalten. Äußerste Kraft aus. Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
yeah, metal is flexible, so it moves. If it gets under pressure and gets strain and stress, it moves with the strain and stress. It's elastic, but this carbon supported resin it's just kind of brisk. It develops micro cracks because it's not elastic. And when he does one dive after the other, dive by dive, he would introduce micro cracks into the hull, getting larger and larger, and so it was pretty predictable that one time the whole thing would crack and break if he wouldn't do any kind of check about these micro cracks. And if you had a metal hull, that would be a different cup of tea.
Alle Maschinen stoppen. Lenzpumpe ausschalten.
Metal is flexible, you can bend it, it moves with the load, with the strain and stress, and does not so easily develop micro cracks. So from this point of view, we are safe here in our submarine, but still it would be nice if they would implement some kind of wear in the game as well. Yeah, that's what I could imagine. That, well, we all know that just a small number of submarines actually survived the war, and one reason I think could be that, well, the submarines were built on the shipyards, they left, they went out, they got into mission, they got back, they got repaired in the shipyard. But could you really fully repair it when a submarine was depth charged and got some strain and stress again and again? Could you really kind of bring it back to zero condition in the shipyard? So this is what I could really well imagine, that a lot of submarines were just, yeah, they had wear, and over the time they just were crushed because all the equipment, the pipes, the gaskets and everything was just not taking the load anymore over time. Having the load again and again, wearing it off, and finally crushing the boat. Never heard that discussion actually, but this is kind of my personal impression why so many submarines finally sank. Maybe not only due to enemy, but maybe also a lot of them sank due to wear.
Ich benötige Ihre Unterstützung. Folgen Sie mir.
Zu Befehl, Herr Kommandant.
They are firing flares up there. That was such bad visibility, and this is why I hate that new kind of marking. So the forecast says that it's going to be a beautiful night, but in reality we had zero visibility, and you really can't read that from this weather forecast. Of course, this symbol here probably indicates it, but nah.
Kommandant, wir wurden von Estik geortet.
Yeah, that's usually my hope, that sooner or later the convoy is passing by and going on, and then the escort has to join the convoy and can't endlessly continue the hunt for us. That's just flares again, relax. By the way, let's give it a save at that point. Yeah, do you hear the strain on the boat by the pressure of the water? Ah, come on, did you hear that? That's hedgehogs. That was hedgehogs. So we are at 200 meters, and weight loss gave us an estimation. What was it? 3 seconds per meter? No, it was 3 meters per second, I think. So it could be 1 minute for the hedgehogs to drop down on us. Bit more, 70 seconds. I thought that we might get away, but they did detect us and they did fire a hedgehog on us. And that's what I said before. The deeper you are, the longer it takes the hedgehog to sink down on you. And this is beautifully simulated, very realistically in the game. So us being at 200 meters gives us a bit of a margin to try to get away.
Kommandant, wir wurden von Estik geortet.
Air quality is okay.
Alle Maschinen stopp.
Okay, that was 70 seconds. Yeah, oh, yeah, that's probably the point. But it's a bit misleading because you get that mouse over, which tells you a good weather is expected at this time of the day. And good weather, I would understand, would be something like clear sky, no fog, low wind. Give it one more save, just in case we overheard something. Yeah, it's a ping. Weight loss. So we are still being chased. We sank one of these escorts, but up to now we didn't get accounted for it. We got away from these hedgehogs once more. Yeah, that's bad that the crew doesn't report you in the communications. So there should be here some report of hedgehogs being fired with the corresponding time.
Kommandant, wir wurden von Estig geortet.
Oh, hedgehogs. Hedgehogs again.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Hedgehogs being fired. 70 seconds to sink upon us. 85%. Let's see that we improve it a bit.
Ventilation ausschalten. Netzpumpe ausschalten.
Wasserbomben. Sehr nah.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen. Ventilation einschalten.
Depth charges. They sink a bit slower than the hedgehogs.
Wasserbomben. Sehr nah. Wasserbomben. In beträchtlicher Entfernung.
Ventilation ausschalten.
Yeah, I never was sure about the number. It's 6, yeah? So they could fire 6 times hedgehog. Alright, yeah. Yeah, I'm doing almost hardest difficulty. I only have one feature not on the highest difficulty level, and this is the damage that depth charges do. This I have to medium, not to maximum. And if you look at what the developers say they actually recommend not to go to maximum. And yeah, the only mod that I run is actually the Deep Leaks mod.
Wir wurden von Estik geortet.
Only the Deep Leaks mod. Which kind of, yeah, introduces these random small leaks that you get the deeper you go.
Wasserbomben. Sehr nah. Raupengeräusche. Direkt über uns.
Yeah, there are a few, but I first want to do this complete walkthrough through this campaign with minimum mods, but when I'm gonna start afterwards, I'm definitely gonna load a set of mods. And yeah, if you want to know about mods, Weight Lords is pretty good. Yeah, some good mods are not yet updated to the new status. Oh, come on. And there they are giving us... They're giving us hedgehogs again.
Kommandant, wir wurden von Estik geortet.
That's tough. I haven't been dropped like that since a while. Nah, you can run a lot of mods, but of course you have to kind of check the compatibility. There is certain mods which are not compatible to each other. And yeah, the more mods you load, the higher the risk is that they kind of interfere. But in principle, you can load infinitely many mods.
Alle Maschinen stopp.
Wasserbomben. Sehr nah.
AK-Fokus. Kurs setzen.
Yeah, that's an important one. Yeah, my personal favorite mod is actually the Steep Leaks mod, and my second favorite mod is the the device energy management mod. This one is great, but it never got updated to the latest version, and I think people even report bugs with it.
Alle Maschinen stopp.
But that would be so great to get that mod again. That's an enormously large convoy with an enormously large escort, yeah. Yeah, well, we are fine in terms of air quality by now. We are fine in terms of water in the bilge. And the discipline is fine, alright as well. And, well, strain and stress level of 11% is also not too much to worry about. They really try to give me a beating.
Äußerste Kraft voraus.
I'm not sure. This might have been hedgehogs. Not quite sure, but it might have been hedgehogs being fired. Wasn't quite sure in all this hurly-burly that's going on this noise of propellers, but I think I did hear hedgehogs being fired.
Alle Maschinen stopp.
Wasserbomben in beträchtlicher Entfernung.
Okay, some distance away. That might indicate that they are completely lost where I am, or that they are depth charging another German submarine.
Kommandant, wir wurden von Esting
We are
gerettet.
pinged again.
Wasserbomben in beträchtlicher Entfernung.
Okay. That's good news. They are not dropping on us, but somewhere else. I did see that there was an update, a news update, but I didn't read it. Weight loss. So was there anything spectacular about that? Some breaking news? What I know is that I am gonna have to start a new game when it comes up. But I can live with that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you mean because I'm doing a lot of trade. Yep. Caribbean Legend. It's wonderful game about the age of sail. It's in the mid of the 17th century, 1600 something, and you slip into the role of a, well, adventurer who seeks his fortune in the Caribbean, in the West Indies. And, well, if you know that old classic Pirates by Sid Meier, then what they do is really kind of, yeah, developing that one further. It's a great game. If you do have a fable for the Age of Sail, that's... sorry, did I say West Indies? I hope I did. Exactly, that's what it is about. But it's kind of pretty realistic. And so in the beginning you start with a ship with relatively small caliber cannons and everything. So at the beginning you just shouldn't sail around and attack ships, but on the long run it's actually the goal. Weight loss? I'm not quite sure what you refer to. West Indies? Yeah? Yeah, okay, I'm gonna check that out later. Yeah, alright. So there is some escort going flank speed towards us. This pretty much sounds like we have to expect some depth charges being dropped. Everybody ready? Yeah, try that game. The graphics, it's pretty basic, so it's not high-end graphics, but the game mechanics are great. I really love them. Propeller right above us. They are really aficionados, the guys who did program that game. Okay. Do you hear that in the stream? That was actually this distinct sound of the hedgehogs. Which does wreak havoc amongst any submarine crew. And now we get depth charge as well. So why not turning on the pump? When we have all that sound around us. Yeah, if this is up your alley, fly fishing, try it. Caribbean Legends is the name of the game. Yeah, might be a bit of a confusion about which game it is, because these guys published a lot of games which were pretty much the same, but Caribbean Legends is actually the best one at the moment. And yeah, if you would actually like to download the game, and yeah, you are right when you end up with this game with this cover picture of two pirate girls. A blonde one and a black-haired one. Well, bit of a sexist style, I would say, if you know what I mean. And if you have that cover, then it's the game. Alright, we are almost back to 100% in air quality. And the bill should be empty, yeah. Let's go silent again. Yeah, they are much more hardcore than any escort I had in the last months. So you did what, Gerald? What did you do? They are getting dangerous, yep. Alright, you did it. Shallow water and everything. That jar's some distance away. So they are still dropping on another submarine, maybe. Yeah, but you could repair them, couldn't you? Would give your crew some experience.
In beträchtlicher Entfernung.
Oh, if I look at the time, I think I really have to turn in. It's past 3 around here. And yeah, come on. It's hard to stop at that point. I would really see how we get away, but let's do that tomorrow. I'm gonna continue this one tomorrow night, so it was a pleasure to have you in. Thank you very much. Let's do one last save together. So, Gerald, great to have you in from across the pond, Flying Fish. Great that you dropped in. And weight loss, yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna watch your link when I stop the stream, yep. But yeah, let's see, maybe I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. It's really getting late by now, but anyway, it was a pleasure to have you in. Just great. Colin, I guess you are still there. Have a good night. Yeah, we are in the same time zone. And Startler, that was just great to have that chat with you. So guys, finally the homework, yeah. Okay, alright, so see you guys, bye bye, see you tomorrow.